Yep, so easy. Razor, what a weird start to a Super Rugby campaign, but how does it feel now, only 2 days out from getting this thing underway?
Oh, we're ready. When you come away for a pre-season like this, and you get to live with a team for a period of time, you have those extra conversations. Rugby's a little bit more of a focus. We try to have a bit of a balance, but we're prepared to go. We're ready to go in Forsyth Bar. The irony of it all was actually quite refreshing. It's a little bit different to what we normally have, and we've got an experienced group. We've got a lot of young guys that just come for the ride, but I'm quite enjoying the spice of it. We're in a great location in Queenstown, as you know, and playing under the roof's always exciting.
You talk about everyone being close together. What's it been like? Someone like Pablo, probably good for him to, I guess, an extra chance to get to know everyone, and what sort of impact has he already had on particularly the young guys in the loose forwards?
Oh, I was pretty impressed. It's a breathtaking place, Queenstown. The sort of alpine views, and when you're in Lake Wakatipu most days and it's 27 odd degrees, it ain't too bad. So he's loving it. They normally have camps in the French Alps, and for us to come down here is sort of the equivalent. But he's slotted in nicely. He's a really good pro, and his English is good. He did it at school. His wife Elena speaks it as well, and he's slotted right in. We sometimes have to repeat things, but his uptake is great, and he can play. He's fit into training well, and his intensity is always really high, so we have to pull him back. But mate, he's excited, and we're excited to see him play, like all our fans.
And just finally, from me, how hard's it going to be, or what challenge comes with starting this comp, without the two guys, Richie and Cody, that have arguably been, two big impacts over the last couple of years?
Yeah, good question. They're a big part of our leadership, Richie and Cody, as you know, and they can play. They're big game players. So it's been good in some ways because it's made others stand up, and other leaders take a little bit of what they would have given the team. So, Fergus Burke and Brodie are great players in their own right, and they've got a chance for themselves to leave their own mark on this group, and they'll be back. Richie and Cody will be back. So we're prepared the last few weeks, for this game, and we're knowing that they're not here, so we're on.
Cheers, Razor.
Thank you.
Sev.
Good morning, Scott.
Hey, Sev.
Are you in the garage today? Shut out in the shed?
No, well, come around. We didn't want to put that view in as well as this view here, so we're up against a wall. It's not quite the shed.
That wasn't one of my official questions.
Okay.
How hard has it been to shut out all the distractions, COVID, being away from home, playing in an empty stadium again? How difficult has that been for the team to shut out?
I think the first thing is we just focus on playing footy, and the rest works itself out. Look, things like the bus trip, it's 4 hours to get there, but we're just trying to frame it. It's unique, it's new, it's not going to be for the whole season. It's probably a couple of times in our life we have to do it, so let's go and embrace it. And they do it in Europe a lot. When I played in France, we loved the bus trip, and you just got used to it. So it's just how you frame things and have the mindset towards it. And like I said, probably the uniqueness is quite cool. Refreshing. I think we do feel for our supporters in the crowds, because you normally get to Forsyth Bar, and that's humming. The crowd, the zoo, everything's pumping. So that'll be different, but we're just glad to play.
And most rugby players love a crowd, right?
Yeah, 100.
Hey, just the rugby union came out yesterday with its rules around the new season ahead for community rugby. Basically, if you're 12 and over and unvaxxed, you won't be able to play 15-a-side rugby. As someone who still has a close connection with a club, do you think that's going to impact on club rugby for all ages? Do you think there may be divides in some clubs ahead of the new season?
That's a deep question, Sav, and it's a good question. look, our game's of inclusion, and we know we need as many players and many people to be involved in our clubs, the families, for everyone to be involved, but we also need to be safe. Look, I think it's going to be a challenge for a few people, but I hope as this thing gets along further that everyone can come back and everyone's got their choice that they've made, but can still be a part of it. So it's a fine balance. Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Go well.
Cheers, F.
Rob.
Razor, you just mentioned Fergus before. I mean, in the past when you've had to start, generally it's been against, let's just say, it hasn't really been New Zealand derbies, has it? So just, how much confidence have you got in him to step in these first couple of weeks, with Hurricanes, Highlanders, big derbies to start with?
Well, it's up to him. He's known for a long period of time that the team's going to be handed to him to take care of this team. He's done a great job so far. He's he's 22 years old. He's been in our group for 3 years, so he's had a good apprenticeship to be ready for it. And look, we've got around him as much as we possibly can. Scott Henson and Andrew Goodman have put a lot of time into him to make sure that he's ready to go. And then just run out and play. Trust his instincts when he gets out there. That's the biggest thing and a message from us.
Season 6, Razor, your mindset heading into this season, do you, as a whole, do you feel heading into round 1 that within the squad, the drive is still there? You're going to be the hunted again? You're going to get the best from everyone?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the group as a total, we've got to find our own way to inspire ourselves to get better as a group. We know there's a big target, a decent target on us, but we just got to keep moving that. We've got to make sure that what we do, how we get the best ourselves out of individuals as coaches and as a team, is always looking for us to step up, and that's been a really big focus for us this year. And just making sure, a group to be inspired, you've got to find reasons and a purpose to do it. So we've looked really deep in ways that we can look to get better and keep this going.
Thanks, Razor. Just quickly, can I ask you on the bus, just the logistics after the game? When are you expecting to get back to Queenstown? Will it be sort of 2:30 in the morning? Or?
It's just going to be a late finish. Yep, we'll get straight on the bus. We'll have a packed dinner and a little orange juice for the 4 hours on the way back. I'm sure there'll be a bit of snoring on that bus too, Robert.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, just short and sweet from me, Razor. I guess in many seasons gone by now, the makeup of your back three is probably one of the harder areas. Talk us through, I guess, first crack for Leicester and Sevu coming off the bench.
Yeah, it's a balance for us for the All Blacks. We've got return to play protocols, so we're just making sure we get the right balance of how many All Blacks we have to start. Obviously, Braden and George had game time last week, so they can run out a bit longer. And, look, we're flushing the outside backs, which is great, and there's a lot of competition. So the injection that Sevu will give us is superb, and we know Leicester can come into 13 as well, so we've got a bit of flexibility there. Yeah. All good?
Lynn McConnell here, mate. Just a quick one on Cullen Grace. How big is this season for him?
Yeah, Cullen, he had obviously a really serious injury last year after a great first year with Super Rugby, made the All Blacks, and then he's had a big setback. Look, I work individually with him. I'm running the loose forwards group, and we've got a good bond. It's been a real challenge, mentally and physically, for him to come back from the injury. It's a major injury he had. He popped his clavicle in, which is very rare. Normally have a seatbelt injury in car accident, so it popped in, and they had to pull it back out. It's a long story, but he's come back, he's put weight on, he's become a great pro off the field. He's built his body over the last 8 months since his injury for our mindsets for the next 10 years, not just this season. With the amount of effort he's put in, he's set himself up to have a good year.
Great, thanks, mate.
Hey, Rose, just a couple of questions from me. Hey, I mean, just a question on. I mean, you talked about Leicester and Braden a little bit, but I mean, how much thought goes into sort of the positions there in terms of Leicester back on the wing, Braden at midfield, when both can sort of swap between the two roles?
Yeah, it's a jigsaw because of Dave. Is back as well. So we're lucky a lot of guys can play multiple positions. And we just got to make sure we get that balance right, because you know the protocols are pretty clear from NZR. We're making sure that we keep comms with them regularly around our players and their return to play. And you know, Braden can play 12, Leicester can play 13, George Bridge can play fullback. You know, Will can play wing. So we've got a really good balance. Ferg Burgess can play 12, so it is a balance. So we've got options, especially if you get an early injury. So you go through all those scenarios as coaches to make sure you got it covered.
Awesome. And last one from me. Playing the Hurricanes, but as you mentioned, obviously playing under the roof at Forsyth Bar, which is a bit of an unusual prospect. Does that play into selections at all, or is it sort of you just play your normal team and you sort of let go wherever you're playing?
Your running meters will be a little bit higher when you're under the roof. Just, Josh, you know, obviously the weather is all mitigated, so high tempo, you know, your kicking game, everything has to be quite on. You have to be quite a balance. Ball and play is normally a little bit longer as well, and it's just much more of a spectacle. But you sort of got to get the balance of it both. But they're always great games. So, as you know, the Hurricanes like to throw that ball around, and when you've got Geordie's big punt there, and you know, we're all on. We're excited to play.